guys, welcome back. This is Dana from Masterland Investing. How you doing? Thank you guys for tuning in. What I want to talk about tonight is I just made a video recently about understanding the four phases of a real estate cycle. This one I want to talk about is three super deals that I made because I was a little older. I really educated myself about the four phases of the real estate cycle. The first deal was years back when the market was really booming. I had been investing with a partner for a while. We did about 12 counties at one time, moving a lot of property. Each particular county that I invested in, I understood what was happening. Things were moving fast. We were coming out of the expansion phase, going into hyperinflation. I couldn't hold the properties. As soon as we got them, we'd move the properties. We were doing simultaneous closings. A few particular areas that we invested in, I pulled some properties out. My partner did as well, and I held on to the properties for that reason. I was trying to time the market, trying to maximize my potential in the returns. I know it's typically contradictory to what most land investors teach, and what most of the videos are about is buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. But I've scored the biggest when I understood the market and I timed it right. One of the first deals I did was a particular area we had bought in. We bought about 300 properties. We moved them as quick as we could. I took a handful of properties. I think I probably did 6 or 7, and I let my partner know he took 6 or 7. When I'd take some, he'd take some off the list. We wouldn't sell them. And I told him I just wanted to hold them for a while, see what would happen. I bought these properties, I want to say, I'm going to refer to 4 of them, for instance, that I did this with. I had about 6, 7. 4 of them, out of the 6 I had for a year. All 6 of them I had for a couple of years, for a little over. The other ones I had for a little over a year, but 4 of them I held for a year. I bought them, I think, 10 and 15,000 a piece. I just knew from my experience the market was going to go much higher. So what I did was I held these particular properties, these 4, for a year. Let's call it 15,000 a piece. I think a couple of them I paid 10, 2 of them I paid 15. We started buying them at 7. We were selling them in the low teens or high teens, and then we moved up to 30-ish, and we sold them. We were buying them in the higher teens, selling them at 30. Well, anyways, these particular ones, I bought 6 of them between 10 and 15. 4 of them, a year later, I put them on the market. And I remember this because my accountant called me on these, and he wasn't sure if the numbers were right. He said, Dana, look at these properties. I'm doing your taxes. It looks like there's 4 of these properties you bought, and you paid 10 and 15 a piece. I said, yeah, where were they? He told me. I said, oh, yeah. I said, did good on those, right? He goes, yeah. He goes, you sold those 4 properties a year after you bought them for $115,000 a piece? Yeah, I was like, yes, I did. He said, that's amazing. I said, well, that's what happens when you understand the 4 phases of real estate cycle. And that's an example of understanding the phase, understanding that I was coming out of the expansion phase, going into hyperinflation. I waited till we were about midway through. Trees were shaking, realtors were excited, everybody was moving property. Everything you touched turned to gold. I just happened to have to hold those for a year to make those kind of returns. Another area we bought about 700-800 properties in a particular area, and we were buying them at $1,500, and we made a decision, my partner and I, that once they got to $2,200, we would give them to a realtor. So I think the first 250 properties we bought between $1,500 and $2,200, we split them. I kept 125 lots, he kept 125 lots. We just paid cash, closed them out, recorded them. I don't know, I'm not sure what his intentions were, how long he was supposed to hold them, but what happened was I decided that I was watching the 4 phase real estate cycle. I understood that it was coming towards a peak. I don't want to take any chances, so I got a hold of a realtor that was working for us, and I gave her 30 lots to sell. And I told her, listen, list them at 15. The market's good. I think I get 15. It wasn't a month later. She sold the 30 lots for $390 cash. So do the numbers real quick. I bought them at, let's call it $2,000, make it easy. I bought 30 lots at $2,000, which was 60 grand. I had closing everything, so I was probably at 70 grand with closing. Turned around, sold them at $390. Paid commission at, I'm going to say 8%. So paid 25 grand in commission, so 360. So probably 360 was left over. I had 70 in it, so I made 290 on that deal in a year. That was another good one. Same particular area, another great deal. What happened was that same area, I think the time my partner was figuring they were going to go to 20, he was out west, I was on the east coast. I knew that, it felt to me that we were overpricing the builders, even though we were always under market value. It was coming to a head, and I just didn't think there was enough value to be squeezed out of the properties. Long story short, the market crashed. And I remember making a call, nothing had moved like in a month and a half. Not one property moved. And everybody was panicking because everybody was holding a lot of cards. I still had another 50, 60 properties in that particular area that I had sold those 30 for $390, did well. So I called my realtor up and I said, listen, what's the last property that sold? And I did this and talked about this a little briefly in another video. She said, the last property that you guys sold was $15,000. I said, okay, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to give you 50 properties. I want you to list them at $16,900. She said they won't sell. I said, oh yeah, listen to me. List them at $16,900, owner finance. So I set it up owner finance, easy terms, 10-year loan. I sold those 50 properties at $16,900 a piece within 2 months. I created $1.8 million in mailbox money. I was receiving $11,200 and change for 10 years on those notes. Long story short, not only did the market crash, the market just took a total downfall. So I think I collected that money for just under 2 years, had some debt, had to pay some IRS money that I didn't want to pay at the time because I didn't want to give them money when everything I touched turned to gold, and I was making all kinds of money, so I postponed paying them. So some debts came to the head and I had to pay them. So what happened was I ended up selling those notes. I think I sold them for cash for $285,000. The person I sold them to, a lot of them notes went bad after another year. But if you do the numbers, I paid $70,000 for the $50,000. I paid $100,000 for those 50 lots. We're closing about 120. I got 20% down on the 50 lots, which was $3,000 a piece. So I got 150 down. So I made like a few bucks on the downstroke at closing when I sold them on financing, and then I collected $11,000 and change a month for almost 2 years. That's another $240,000 I collected, and then I sold those lots for $285,000. I sold the paper on those mortgages, or those sold the paper. So I probably made $500,000 in that deal with not a lot of money out of pocket. So that's an example of really understanding the four-phase real estate cycle, knowing when to hold, when to fold. It goes against mainstream investing, but if you understand it and you play your cards right, there's a lot of money to be made. I think I made my biggest returns once I understood the four phases. Don't get me wrong, I made lots of money buying and selling. We turned and burned a lot of properties. I've done it for a long time. I even do it to this day. I don't move as many because I like to keep my life simple. I haven't automated a lot of the system. We're old school. We do everything simple. I still do it simple. I believe in using a realtor. If you buy right, I don't want the stress of having to list it in a bunch of places. I don't want to spend hundreds of dollars a month on computer software and programs to outsource and use virtual assistants and all that. I'm old school. I keep it simple. And the way I teach my lessons in my course, it's the same way. Nothing wrong with getting automated and outsourcing a lot of stuff and building a machine, but you can make 2-3 times what you make. Most people make a living in a year doing it part-time while you work every day, a couple hours a night. Just do like I teach in the lessons. It's real simple. But this lesson is mainly how to time the market right, understand the four phases of the real estate cycle. So thank you guys for tuning in. Those are 3 of my better deals I've made in time. So hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned. Please subscribe if you haven't. Hit the bell. That way you get notified every time we put out a video. Go out and inspire. Be kind. Don't be greedy. Have a great day. Thank you guys for tuning in. Bye-bye.